So you're saying that from the back, the attachment would go through the body
Yes.
to the breastbone,
Yes.
which would have to be out here to support it. Now, okay, I'm going to draw with normal wings. My arms are wings. In order to attach those muscles, my chest will stick out to about here. I'll look like Dolly Parton. Maybe Dolly Parton can fly. I never thought of that. Now, the gentleman is suggesting that we could have an attachment, basically move the organs of the lungs and the heart and the trachea, all those things to the side, and have an attachment through the back. Could you do it? You could probably design it. You could probably build it. But you're going to have a creature that does not look anything like an anthropoid creature at that point.
So what you're kind of saying is that My Little Pony is sort of...
Yeah, when Fluttershy is up there going flutter, flutter, flutter. I hate to tell you, My Little Pony is a cartoon. It's not real. I don't mean to bust your bubble. Oh, yes, yes.
I think when in bipedal creature, the wings would need a lot more ability to rotate.
Exactly.
Because you need to lift up vertically, not
Yep.
like a bird.
Well, even a bird's wings can rotate this way. They have to. That's how they change direction. That's how they change angle. You can try that. There is a story about a young man named Icarus. That's where we're going here. You cannot have a hexapedal vertebrate. You cannot build a vertebrate creature with 6 limbs. It doesn't work that way. You notice there are no vertebrates out there that have 6 limbs? You can't do it. That brings us to taurs. The centaur is an interesting construct. You have to remember that the current theory is that the idea of the centaur came about when horsebacked invaders attacked people who had never seen horses before. And what they saw was this creature on 4 legs with a man's body coming out of it. And that they kind of envisioned to be a centaur. That's more griffin, but I kind of like that. That's cool. Yeah.
I tried to draw the
Will be.
centaur.
Okay. So okay. If we're drawing, yes, the opposite centaur. Nobody likes the opposite centaur, right? It's so cool, right? Yeah. This is the opposite centaur.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes. It makes sense, right? If you've got a centaur, now you have to have the opposite centaur. This makes as much sense, even high heels. This makes as much sense. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So, okay, let us look at the opposite centaur. It's as sensible as the centaur itself. Okay, we have a horse body. There's a set of lungs here and a heart. Well, there's a set of lungs and a heart down here too.
I draw it.
Will they have 2, or will there be just 1? The digestive system, the horse's stomach and intestines are here, starting at the neck. Are we now going to have additional stomach and intestines down here? If this was, well, since it's wearing high heels, maybe it's a lady centaur. There's going to be lady parts here and lady parts here. Now, I've seen some gentlemen who've drawn male centaurs with male parts here and male parts there. It looks really hot, but funky at the same time. Do you see? It starts to get ridiculous. A taur cannot exist. That would be a great fursuit. The opposite centaur. Yes, thank you. Yeah, there you go. How would such things as gestation work? How would young centaurs be born? Are they going to grow in the uterus, in the top part, or the uterus in the bottom part? Is this thing going to... should move. Oh my goodness, look, we're out of time. This does end at 1700, doesn't it?
No,
What? No, according to my schedule, this ends
25 minutes.
at 1730.
So we have plenty of time.
Under the spine itself is interesting.
Yeah. Well, also the spine itself. Wow.
But it's interesting how serious discussions people have about this, about how the oxygen support would work on them because their lungs are not big enough.
Yeah.
They need huge hearts to support the whole.
But maybe they do have two hearts, two lungs. They have them up here in the lady parts, and they got them down here. The digestive system freaks me out because by the time it gets here, it's going to be like finished. You know, so is there just like a tube that goes?
Well, like four stomachs and a cow. They would be consent.
Possibly. I'm sure that the ancient Greeks did not think this through. Yes.
Any plan to go into insect anthropomorphy?
I had not planned to go into insect anthropomorphy. We could, but when you consider that insects are so alien to us, we are a completely different order. The arthropods and the mammals are as different as the Martians and the Venusians, because the Venusians, you know, they tend to like their beer cold, and the Martians, they like their beer warm. But I'm rambling at this moment. So anyway, okay. You know, someone who is seeing these drawings out of context is just saying, "What the fuck?" Yes, sir.
This is slightly off topic, but I thought about the idea of a human running on 4 legs, but it wouldn't go without some kind of extensions to the arm because the arms are slightly too short.
There's a YouTube video for that.
Actually, there is. Beast
There is,
cub.
a lot of people try to actually make it work, but it doesn't.
It doesn't, because your butt's all way up high in the air.
Yeah, but that would the idea of the longer arms maybe change.
The fursuit maker Beast Cub is famous for quad suits. She makes extremely realistic looking quadrupedal fursuits. And it does require you hold on to extensions. It basically is an extension about this long that fits on the end of your arm, and that becomes the forepaw. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of skill to be a quad suit, because I've seen one recently where the fellow was in the quad suit and he had a tendency to sit back on his haunches, which added an extra bend to the legs, and it just looked like his legs were broken. And I kept trying to tell him, dude, don't do that. No, stop it! And he wouldn't.
But would you be able, with that extension, to actually run like an animal in some way?
With our current design and our current technology, no. Could you design something that would allow it? Perhaps in the future. I'm not going to rule it out, but mechanically right now, our legs are really not designed for that kind of propulsion, and these arms are not designed to keep up with the legs. So it's going to take a lot of practice, possibly servo motors helping out, and that's cheating.
Yeah, because some Japanese guys actually did it, but they are not using the extension, so they're more leaping like a frog, which just
Yes.
looks stupid.
Exactly. Anthropomorphic frogs, ugly. Especially the one that was here a few years ago with the... Anyway. Remember him? Oh, God, I remember him. Anyway. Yes. Remember I said in the standards of conduct, everything in the standards of conduct has a reason? Anyhow, I'm going to mention obliquely because I timed this as a 1 hour talk and forgot I had an hour and a half. Let's look at griffins. Griffins are amazing. They're among the sexiest of the creatures out there just because they combine the traits of 2 of the sexiest kind of animals. We have the bird of prey and we have the lion. Yeah, ain't gonna work. I like how To the Ranting Griffin describes a griffin. He said, it looks like an eagle trying to shit a lion. Because that's basically what it is when you think about it. Oh, that is hot. Yes, keep drawing. So anyway, uh-oh, he's going to draw. Does anybody know what the current theory is as to where the image of the griffin came from? Because throughout the Middle Ages and in the ancient world, you will find in bestiaries notations of the griffin. It was treated by natural philosophers as an actual creature. It was not considered mythical. Did they exist? Does anybody know where the idea of the griffin came from? Oh, I get to educate you. Again, this is a theory, yes.
Maybe because maybe it wasn't more like something they saw, but more something that they saw as a very noble creature. So they actually created it out of their like as a fantasy image to like be cool.
That is one theory. But then why would they then forget that they created it and start talking about it like it was real?
Oh.
On the Isle of Crete, which is off the coast of Greece, there are fossils of a dinosaur called Protoceratops. And these fossils are located very close to the surface. In some cases, you can literally walk up and there will be one on the surface. The Protoceratops was a beaked dinosaur, a four-legged, squat dinosaur with a long beak. The skull of Protoceratops looks very similar to the skull of an eagle, at least to the untrained eye. It's this huge boxy thing with a large hooked beak. And then behind it were these thick, heavy bones for a quadrupedal animal. They believe, there we are, they believe that the ancient Greeks saw these bones and reassembled them and said, holy fuck, it's a lion with the head of an eagle. The wings probably were added fancifully or as an extension. We just didn't find the bones for the wings. Since it has an eagle's head, it must have wings too. Exactly. Protoceratops looked very, very similar to what they are drawing. Now, it was not a fast creature, so it had kind of elephant-like pillar legs, but the Greeks didn't care about that. Another interesting thing about the Greeks is they have found strange, shall we say, ritualistic burials. And they think now they know where the Greek notion of giants came from. In the original Greek myths, their heroes, Hercules, all of these guys, were said to be 12 feet tall. All of the grand old heroes of Greek mythology were always 12 feet tall, and this puzzled scholars for a long time. That's about maybe 2.5 times the size of your average person then. Why did the Greeks always say, well, this hero, that great hero was 12 feet tall? A few years ago, they unearthed a grave. And inside the grave, it was a massive grave and it was ornate. This was the grave of somebody highly respected. They found a giant coffin, if you will, in which were the bones of a woolly mammoth that were arranged in the shape of a human body. That's very bizarre. What they believe is that they found these bones, this humerus this long, what appeared to them to be a thigh bone twice as long as the thigh bone of a man, and they didn't realize that they were seeing the bones of an animal. They thought they were seeing the bones of a giant human being. And thus, it's like, oh my God, we found the bones of Prometheus. And they then reburied it in a grand ceremonial burial. Oh my, yes, Prometheus. And this was him because he was 12 feet tall. Look at how long his bones are. The idea of the Cyclops. If you look at the skull of a mammoth, It's a skull with a giant hole in the center. That's the nasal opening. But it sure looks like a big eye to ancient Greeks, who also invented wine, I might add. So that's probably why the ancient Greeks were able to see things a little differently than the rest of the world. I also heard a theory, it's a hypothesis, in that we don't have a lot of evidence to support it, but there is a small amount of evidence to indicate that the wine that the Greeks drank had a much higher alcohol content than modern wine. I want to build a time machine. I want to go back to ancient Greece. And I want to tell them, this, do you see this? Do you see those bones? Do you see that skull? Yeah, that's a griffin. Because we needed the Greeks. To the ranting Protoceratops just doesn't sound right. Just roar, I am Prometheus, drink wine, roar! Any question? I've told this to people before, and I will tell it to you again. I'm a scientist. I'm a professional scientist. It's what I do. I give lectures. You can always tell when a scientist has run out of things to say or has lost his place because we are trained to give the same answer each time. Are there any questions? See, that gives us, yes, thank you.
How do we make a lizard whose tail is not only an extension of his spine, but looks like an extension of his torso, and his legs don't go straight down, but to the side?
Excellent question. An anthropomorphic lizard or anthropomorphic dolphin? I'm not judging you. I want you to draw it. I think they're hot.
At least something, that's okay.
Okay, you put an anthropomorphic dolphin in this room, I'm not going to throw him out of my bed if he was eating crackers. Sorry, I traveled a moment, I'm back now. But it is an excellent question. What do we do with animals whose entire body forms the tail? Now, we're going to add anthropoid pelvis and anthropoid legs. Where do the legs go? Are the legs out here? Do we have, Billy Bowlegs, the gunfighter lizard? I'm here to clean up this town. Or do we have the sleek and sexy anthropoid dolphin, which simply has this large tail at the top of his buttocks coming down, those very, very firm, trim buttocks that they usually have because they're swimmers. Sorry, I went away for a minute. I'm back again. Okay. Here we have a lizard. Or something. Yeah.
This looks like a raptor.
Actually, it does. Which are also sexy, by the way.
True.
It is a very good question. I have seen different artists do different sorts of things. The only thing with the anthropomorphic dolphins that I have seen is this. They look very hot and they're very sexy, but the spine is connecting under their jaw. They need to have a little bit longer heads. Plus, I've seen, what are you doing? Oh, yeah, I get it now. It requires a little artistic license at this point.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The blowhole, of course, is located here. Are they still going to have that same structure to their bodies? Are they still going to breathe through the tops of their heads? Could you do me a favor? Having drawn this, can we go now over here? Could you draw a proper, sexy, sleek anthropoid dolphin just for me?
Of course, everything for you.
Yes, thank you. Not that I'm, hot for dolphins. It's just, Let's give her a
No, well,
moment.
still the stand-up card for the charity auction.
Oh, yeah, I was kind of sadly sold that. I'm thinking, how can I get him home? I was looking at that dolphin stand up, and I was thinking of that little song. I want a Dakimakura for Christmas. Oh, some people know what a Dakimakura is.
Please explain.
It's a Japanese thing called there was one in the art show, a body pillow. You basically, yeah. Oh, that's okay. We can scroll down or scroll up. Okay. Now let's consider, he's got a somewhat elongated neck. He still is going to have a little bit of a problem because that spine is, but I don't care. I am not going to kick him out of my bed for eating crackers, like I said, okay? And this is where artistic license, we give it to them. Yeah.
A little cool.
Just please don't make him digitigrade. Oh, he's gone. Oh, there. Is anybody else getting turned on by this? No comment.
I don't. I'm sweating because it's
Me
so hard
too.
to draw this.
And the tail. And the tail.
It's horrible.
I cannot resist webbed fingers. Okay. Now, okay, this is actually pretty good. Notice, we have the torso blending down into the tail as the dolphin has.
He's always fixing my art.
Well, that's okay. I'm enjoying it.
That's it.
Now-
That's the dolphin tail.
Yeah, his dolphin tail is sideways.
Yeah.
Like this way. Yeah, that's a shark you're drawing. Because sharks, dolphins, they're going to be pretty much the same. Oh, by the way, I've seen some people out there tell me, oh, I love the idea of sharks. And I'm like, why? Because their skin is so smooth. No, it isn't. Sharks have sandpaper for skin. I would love to create an actual anthropomorphic shark and say, go get him. Go hug, ow. And then it will eat your face. And it'll be sexy.
Well, I think it depends on which way you rub it, whether it's sandpaper or not.
No matter what, unless you were like sliding down, which maybe you are, it's going to be sandpaper.
Yeah.
I will ask you a favor. When you're done drawing this amazing, wonderful creature, could you draw the same creature, maybe like in a different part of the screen? Can you draw him from the back to show how the tail is attached? Starts out with the letter I. Now they're arguing. Because remember, the tail is very wide at the base. The torso blends into the tail in the actual dolphin.
What?
Yep. And of course, in order to move that tail, he's going to have really powerful gluteal muscles. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's that swimmer's physique we just love. While they are drawing, I'm going to tell everyone to look up a certain term online. Because it sort of fits in with this, everybody write it down. If you know what it is already, that's fine. If you don't, you should research it. The term is the uncanny valley. U-N-C-A-N-N-Y, valley, the uncanny valley. This is not the uncanny valley, this is hot.
Wait a second.
Yeah, keep drawing, I'm enjoying this.
It's weekly lines.
Nine, keep drawing. Japanese researchers were studying human reaction to visual stimuli. And they were interested in how we relate to things around us. What they discovered was that as something becomes closer in resemblance to the human figure or the human form, we have a more positive reaction to it. And that reaction continues to become more positive as we get closer to the ideal form of the human, the Brink supermodel, you know, Hollywood TV stars. That reaction gets stronger and stronger until we get to the point where we are almost perfectly human, but not quite. And then the reaction plunges into the negative and then quickly rises again. So the curve does this. Better reaction, better increasing reaction, more positive. Now we're almost human, bam! Down to a strongly negative reaction. They call that the uncanny valley.
That is why zombies are scary.
Exactly. If you take what you think to be that's a nice human figure, and then you realize there's something wrong with it, you get a very negative response. For example, they would take, if I may, a shapeless object, a neutral response. And then they got into things like animals, kittens with their short little faces. They got a better response. Anthropomorphic animals had a more positive response than the corresponding animal itself. We are getting much more human. Then we get to the point where we are almost human. Well, let me try a different thing here. We get to the point where something is not right, and bam, people are turned off. They are pushed back. They don't want this. What is in the uncanny valley? Clowns are in the uncanny valley. I'm very sorry to say people with physical deformities are in the uncanny valley. You see a beautiful woman who is very, very gorgeous. Then you realize she's missing her left hand. Yeah, you do that sort of thing. You know, a kitten who's missing a paw, that doesn't really affect people. There are some fursuits that are in the uncanny valley. You've probably seen them. The ones you look at and you say, no. Like the one who had his tail hanging out of his butt. At least I think that was his tail. It is a fascinating read. I recommend you. It's on Wikipedia. Look up the uncanny valley. And it's an interesting insight into how the human mind works, how we perceive the world around us.
Therapy can be cute too.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you what. Take one of its eyes and just kind of have it going down here. You see what I mean? That all of a sudden is now kind of. Yes.
While you're on the uncanny topic, have you ever contemplated the size of eyeballs in furry characters?
Actually, I have not, but now that you mention it, that is excellent.